Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Becky Beaton, and I am the founder and director of the Knowledge Tree. And I'm really excited to be here with Erlese Caruth. And she is going to tell us a little bit about her workshop. So, Erlese, please tell us what your workshop is about.
Hey, Becky. Probably last year sometime, I started working on a project called Becoming a Black Therapist because in private practice, and I've worked in so many different settings, I've met and worked with individuals who felt like they had like a really unique story, a journey to becoming a clinician of color. And I thought it was important to highlight those stories because they're different. And then all of this stuff exploded in our country about race and diversity
Mhm.
and equality. And I thought it would be a really, really good opportunity for us to highlight that. So if you're a clinician of color, then you get to hear your story, or something like it, right? Because our stories are all unique. But if you're not a clinician of color, then you get to learn what that's like for us. And the journey is nothing like you would imagine if you're not a clinician of color. And I just think in clinical practice, it's really important for us to be able to attend to the inequalities, the different identities we bring to clinical practice, marginalized statuses, privileged statuses, and figure out how to attend to all of those in a therapeutic setting. And so I thought it'd be important to bring this information in a workshop setting.
Thank you
What,
so much.
what did you think about? What did you think about it?
Well, what's happened for me with the Black Lives Movement is it's really brought up a lot of emotions and um, and I have found myself wanting to do something.
Mhm.
And I have learned so much in the last few months that I hate to say, there are many things I didn't know or realize how bad it was. And I feel embarrassed to say that as a white person, but it's just the honest truth.
Wow.
And George Floyd's murder was so jolting for me that I feel at this point in my life I need to host more workshops that have to do with social justice. I
Yeah.
really want to be an ally. I want to be an anti-racist, and I'm trying to learn how to do that and everything I possibly can at this moment to support my clients of color as well as my consultees and those folks attending my workshops and make sure that I am inclusive and mindful, and I want to listen. I want to learn.
Yeah. I do definitely think that it's important. And I think just highlighting it and being able to tell our stories. You've seen all of the videos on YouTube and everything on the news. I think once the person that is have been impacted by inequality, once they get to tell their story, it's almost like a relief, right?
Hmm.
And so we know in clinical practice when we work with clients, as soon as they come in and they're able to tell you their story, it's almost like, this burden has been lifted. And I've been feeling that for a really long time. And you and I have had conversations about our journeys. Like you're a clinician, but your journey is so much different than mine. And I thought it would be important to highlight those differences and for us to learn from each other.
Hmm. And I was so excited when we first started talking about it. I wanted to know who the workshop is for, and we were actually in a group setting when we were talking about it. And it was pretty much half black, half white, the people that were talking. And everybody in the setting wanted to learn from one another. And then I think at that point you decided, let's do this together. Let's talk about it together.
Mhm. Yeah. I thought it was going to be something wonderful. I know that some people might be triggered by, the title, and I think it's difficult because when you see the title, you're thinking, is she trying to teach someone to be a Black therapist? No. I cannot teach a Black clinician how to be a therapist, right? And I can't teach someone that's white how to be a Black therapist, right? It's really about our lived experiences, our personal narratives, and how we show up in clinical practice. And so I hope that that clears it up for a lot of people. I know it was very triggering, but I've had so many conversations with so many different clinicians, and the feedback has been positive once I've been able to talk through what it is. So I'm hoping that this clears it up for folks that are still a little bit curious or confused, you know?
Mhm. And I also got pretty triggered too, as you know. I wanted to crawl under the covers and put them over my head and hide from the world because I was accused of, first of all, people thought I was teaching the workshop, telling people how to become a Black therapist. There's no way I could do that. And then people were accusing me of capitalizing on Black pain. And that just breaks my heart, especially since I sponsored an earlier workshop, Black Lives Matter, and I gave all of my proceeds to charities that support the Black Lives Matter movement. And so it's just, you know, it was really painful for me, but it was also a really good journey. Each person that reached out to me about the title, it's so fascinating that it was so triggering to people, um, had their own story and their own vision about what was upsetting. And it gave me a chance to listen that much more to people's experiences and maybe things that had been done to them in the past, as well as, you know, ways to be careful going forward. So, you know, I really tried to listen with an open mind and an open heart. So I welcome the knowledge, even though sometimes acquiring it is painful.
It is. And just even the information that folks shared with me, I just really, after each conversation, I really felt like this is why we need to have the conversation, because there's so much misinformation just from, you know, the title and what you perceive, you know, this workshop to be about. And so that just said to me, we really need to have a conversation about what this journey is like. And everyone can benefit from it. So, I mean, if you're a clinician of color, I'm sure there's a story in there. I'm sure you will be able to identify yourself and really sit with colleagues to learn how to be in clinical practice with some of the issues that we're dealing with, if you have clients of color or not. And if you're not a clinician of color, can you imagine how much you learn about your colleagues, about your
Yes.
clients? And even maybe about yourself, about, you know, privilege, and, you know, biases that you may have. So I think that's important for us to have this discussion.
Mhm. And even I know at one point I was even worried that maybe I coerced you into, you know, putting the, you know, the people of color as well as the white therapist in one room together. It was like, oh no, did I coerce Erlese to do that? Where she really wanted to have it just for Black therapists. And so
Yeah.
that made me soul search. Like, what did I say? How did this come about?
Yeah, I think just all the feedback we've received, it's made us even look at our relationship, why we're doing this, and is this something important to discuss? And like you said, you've been accused of, you know, trying to capitalize. I've been accused of trying to capitalize, you know, on this workshop as well.
Oh, I didn't even know that one. So that's interesting. Okay.
Very interesting. And, you know, are you doing this because it's what's happening in the country right now? And I'm like, no, this was really a title that we even talked about in that group setting last year in consultation. And so
It was at least a year ago. I know because I've been trying to support you to write your book about it. So if this has been on the horizon.
right. So, you know, no, you didn't coerce me. And it was a really open conversation we had about it. And we both thought that it would be something good because your platform will reach so many different people of color, white folks, just everyone. And I think that you just thought this is good because we need to be having conversations about race, equality, and what that looks like. And we're clinicians. We are in charge of so much, or people perceive us as being responsible for, you know, their mental health. And if we can't talk about something like this with each other, what does that mean for our clients?
So, so true. So moving forward, I'm so excited that we're doing this and let the conversations continue.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you, Erlese.
Thank you so much, Becky.